In a significant meeting that underscores the evolving relationship between the United States and the Vatican, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Pope Leo XIV at the Vatican on May 19, 2025. This encounter came just a day after Pope Leo's inauguration, marking a pivotal moment for U.S. Vatican relations under the new pontificate. The meeting took place at the Apostolic Palace, where Vance presented Pope Leo with a Chicago Bears jersey and a personal letter from U.S. President Donald Trump welcoming the new pope and inviting him to visit the White House. "The United States people are extremely excited about you," Vance remarked during the meeting, to which the Pope responded with a smile indicating a positive rapport between the two leaders. The discussions were reportedly cordial and covered a range of topics including religious freedom, bilateral relations between the U.S. and the Vatican, and pressing global issues such as the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Archbishop Paul Richard Gallagher, the Vatican's foreign minister, participated in discussions that emphasized collaboration between church and state. The Vatican's official communiqué highlighted the importance of respecting humanitarian and international laws with a collective hope for negotiated solutions in areas of conflict. Vance's office confirmed that he met with Archbishop Gallagher after his private audience with the Pope, further indicating the seriousness of U.S. efforts to engage with the Holy See. The meeting came against the backdrop of a tumultuous period marked by significant challenges both domestically and internationally, particularly regarding religious freedoms and geopolitical tensions. The day prior, on May 18, Pope Leo XIV celebrated his inaugural Mass in St. Peter's Square, attended by over 200,000 faithful and numerous world leaders, establishing his papacy with a strong emphasis on unity and peace. As the first U.S.-born Pope, Leo's ascension is seen by many as a historic milestone, generating widespread enthusiasm among American Catholics. In addition to his meeting with the Pope, Vice President Vance also engaged in discussions with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, where they shared a mutual goal of ending the bloodshed in Ukraine. This meeting, along with several others with international leaders during his visit to Rome, underscores the U.S. administration's commitment to addressing global crises through diplomatic avenues. The choice of Pope Leo XIV, formerly known as Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, is particularly significant given his background as a Chicago native and a missionary in Peru. His papacy is expected to navigate complex issues surrounding the Catholic Church's role in modern society, including its stance on immigration, which had previously been a point of contention during his time as cardinal. As this new chapter in U.S. Vatican relations unfolds, many observers are keen to see how Pope Leo XIV will steer the Catholic Church in an increasingly polarized world. His commitment to dialogue and collaboration will be crucial as he addresses the challenges that lie ahead, including fostering unity within the Church and advocating for peace in conflict regions. The positive exchange between Pope Leo, Vice President Vance, and Secretary of State Rubio may herald a renewed partnership aimed at tackling some of the most pressing issues of our time. In an era where the intersection of politics and defense has become increasingly contentious, recent developments surrounding Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth have ignited a firestorm of debate within the Republican Party. As Hegseth navigates a series of controversies, including allegations of mishandling sensitive information, public figures and lawmakers alike are weighing in on the implications for the GOP and national security. During a recent episode of HBO's Real-Time, comedian Bill Maher took aim at Hegseth, humorously suggesting that his parents should revoke his phone privileges until he demonstrates responsible use. "I'm not saying Pete makes a terrible defense secretary, but he's the worst thing to hit the Pentagon since Flight 77, Maher quipped, drawing laughter from the audience. This biting commentary comes on the heels of reports revealing that Hegseth has been embroiled in scandals, including sharing military secrets via the messaging app Signal and ordering a Pentagon room to be converted into a makeup studio. Such incidents have not only drawn public ridicule but have also reportedly caused dissatisfaction among White House officials, complicating Hegseth's position within the administration. The reaction to Hegseth's behavior has been mixed, particularly among GOP lawmakers in Nebraska, where his pro-military stance has traditionally resonated well.
However, as concerns mount over his recent actions, some Republican leaders are beginning to question whether his controversies undermine the party's credibility on defense issues.
The internal struggle to balance loyalty to Hegseth with the need for accountability reflects broader tensions within the GOP as members grapple with how best to present a united front on national security. As the political landscape shifts, the Pentagon has also been busy forging new alliances. In a significant move, the Department of Defense announced a major defense partnership with the United Arab Emirates aimed at bolstering regional security and enhancing military cooperation. This partnership is expected to include collaborative training exercises and the sharing of advanced technologies,
reinforcing the UAE's role as a key ally in the Middle East.
The timing of this announcement amidst Hegseth's controversies underscores the complexities of U.S. defense policy and the need for stable leadership. Looking ahead, the ramifications of Hegseth's controversies and the Pentagon's evolving partnerships will likely shape the GOP's narrative on defense as the 2024 elections approach. With public sentiment swaying and party dynamics shifting, the Republican Party faces the challenge of reconciling internal dissent while maintaining a strong front on national security. As the situation develops, it will be crucial for party leaders to address both Hegseth's actions and the broader implications for U.S. defense strategy, ensuring that they remain aligned with the values and expectations of their constituents. In an era marked by escalating skepticism towards established medical frameworks,
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. (RFK Jr.) has emerged as a polarizing figure at the intersection of public health and political controversy.
As he steps into the role of the nation's top health official, pledging to work within the existing vaccine approval system while simultaneously advocating for significant changes, the implications for public health and vaccine policy are profound and far-reaching.
Kennedy's ascent to the position of Secretary of Health and Human Services has drawn both fervent support and vehement opposition.
His critics, including prominent Democrats, have characterized him as an anti-science conspiracy peddler, pointing to his long-standing skepticism about vaccines and public health mandates. During his confirmation hearing, Senator Bernie Sanders directly challenged Kennedy's assertions, citing extensive evidence from the scientific community that debunks the claims linking vaccines to autism and other health issues. Despite the pushback, Kennedy remained steadfast, emphasizing a need for further exploration and transparency regarding vaccine safety. In a recent statement, Kennedy emphasized his commitment to reforming the vaccine approval process, declaring, "We need a massive framework for how vaccines are tested and approved." This sentiment aligns with the FDA's plans as Commissioner Marty Makary and the agency's new vaccine chief Vinay Prasad prepare to unveil an agenda that promises to reshape how vaccinations are evaluated. However, these changes come with significant concerns. Experts fear that the heightened scrutiny and potential delays in approval processes could hinder access to critical vaccines, particularly as public health agencies prepare for upcoming flu and COVID-19 seasons. You have to assume that RFK Jr.'s intention is to make it harder for vaccines to come to market, cautioned Amesh Adalja, MD,
a vaccine expert at Johns Hopkins University.
Kennedy's controversial tenure has already resulted in a chilling effect on vaccine research funding, with the National Institutes of Health redirecting resources away from studies examining vaccine hesitancy. This shift raises alarms among public health advocates who argue that understanding the roots of vaccine skepticism is essential for developing effective outreach strategies.
Moreover, the atmosphere surrounding vaccine discussions has become more charged than ever.
RFK Jr.'s rhetoric, which often questions the validity of established science, has resonated with segments of the public disillusioned by traditional authorities. With a history of advocating against environmental pollutants and corporate negligence, Kennedy has leveraged this background to challenge pharmaceutical companies and regulatory bodies.
Yet, this has led to accusations that he is undermining trust in vaccines at a time when public health relies heavily on vaccination campaigns to curb infectious diseases. The stakes are particularly high as the FDA grapples with the complexities of approving the Novavax COVID-19 vaccine, which has faced undue delays and restrictions. The political influence exerted over regulatory decisions has raised eyebrows, with insiders revealing that the FDA's credibility is now at risk due to perceived political interference. As the agency prepares for an upcoming advisory meeting on COVID-19 vaccinations, the path forward seems fraught with uncertainty. Meanwhile, Kennedy's polarizing stance has ignited a broader cultural debate about trust in expertise. His rise marks a significant shift in public discourse, where skepticism toward established scientific authorities has gained traction across the political spectrum. The evolution of this narrative reflects a growing epistemological divide, where facts are often interpreted through the lens of personal belief rather than empirical evidence. As the nation navigates these tumultuous waters, the future of vaccine policy hangs in the balance. While Kennedy has pledged to respect the established vaccine framework, the implications of his leadership and the impending changes to vaccine testing and approval processes will undoubtedly influence public health outcomes for years to come. As public trust in health authorities continues to wane, the challenge for Kennedy will be to bridge the widening gap between scientific consensus and public perception. A task that will require not only transparency but also a concerted effort to engage with communities that feel marginalized in the ongoing health discourse. The coming months will be critical in determining whether RFK Jr.'s tenure will lead to a renaissance of trust in public health or further entrench skepticism in the fabric of American society. In a series of controversial developments, U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi finds herself at the center of two significant stories involving high-profile individuals and the restoration of rights. The implications of her decisions extend beyond individual cases, raising questions about ethics, safety, and the intersection of politics and personal conduct. One of the most talked about decisions involves Mel Gibson, the Oscar-winning actor whose gun rights were restored more than a decade after he lost them due to a domestic violence conviction. Following a 2011 misdemeanor charge stemming from an altercation with his then-girlfriend, Gibson's Second Amendment rights were suspended. However, Bondi has recently approved the restoration of his rights, a move that has sparked outrage among advocates for domestic violence victims. According to the New York Times, Bondi's decision to allow Gibson along with 9 others to regain their gun rights will soon be officially announced in the Federal Register. The decision is particularly contentious given that it comes in the wake of internal conflicts within the Department of Justice regarding the ethics of restoring gun rights to individuals with histories of domestic violence. Elizabeth G. Oyer, a DOJ pardon attorney, was reportedly fired after expressing concerns over the potential dangers associated with allowing Gibson to possess firearms. Oyer articulated the gravity of the situation, stating there are real consequences that flow from people who have a history of domestic violence being in possession of firearms. This isn't political, this is a safety issue. Her termination raises questions about the motivations behind such a significant policy decision and the extent to which political affiliations may influence legal judgments. Adding another layer of complexity, Bondi's financial dealings have come under scrutiny. Recent disclosures reveal that she sold between $1 million and $5 million in shares of Trump's media company on April 2, coinciding with the announcement of sweeping global tariffs by then-President Donald Trump. This timing raised eyebrows, as it suggests a potential conflict of interest at a time when stock prices were plummeting due to the tariff news. Critics have pointed out that such actions may indicate an underlying connection between her official duties and personal financial interests, further complicating public perceptions of her role as Attorney General. As the narrative unfolds, the intertwining of Gibson's restoration of rights with Bondi's financial maneuvers presents a broader commentary on the current political landscape. The decisions made by figures like Bondi reflect not only individual cases but also the larger implications for legal standards surrounding domestic violence and the responsibilities of public officials. Looking ahead, the outcomes of these developments will likely influence discussions around gun control, domestic violence policies, and the ethical obligations of government officials. As advocates on both sides of these issues prepare for the ramifications of Bondi's actions, it remains to be seen how the public and legal systems will respond to these controversial decisions.
The intersection of celebrity politics and personal conduct continues to be a powerful lens through which to examine the evolving landscape of American law and governance. In a significant turn of events in U.S. economic policy, the Trump administration has advanced a controversial tax bill and has made notable adjustments to its tariff strategies, all amid a backdrop of rising national debt and economic uncertainty. The developments which have captured the attention of both lawmakers and financial markets highlight a complex interplay between domestic fiscal policies and international trade relations. On May 19, the Trump tax bill passed a crucial panel in Congress, signaling a step forward in the administration's efforts to reshape the U.S. tax landscape. This momentous decision comes at a time when the national deficit has been escalating, prompting scrutiny from various economic analysts. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has emphasized that this tax reform aims to stimulate economic growth, but critics are already raising alarms about the potential long-term implications for the national debt. "We are determined to bring the spending down and grow the economy," Bessent stated during a recent interview, downplaying concerns about Moody's downgrade of the U.S. credit rating, which was influenced by rising national debt and budget deficits. "Moody's is a lagging indicator," he added, attempting to reassure the public and investors alike regarding the resilience of the U.S. economy. Compounding these fiscal decisions, the Trump administration's tariff policies have undergone significant shifts, often described as flip-flops. Following the Liberation Day tariffs announced in early April, which imposed sweeping tariffs on a range of foreign goods, Bessent has recently indicated that the administration might revert to previous tariff rates for countries that do not negotiate in good faith. This comes as a stark contrast to the administration's initial narrative of imposing tariffs without the need for negotiations. "We have 150 countries that want to make a deal, but you're not able to see that many countries," Trump remarked, reflecting a strategy that appears to oscillate between confrontation and diplomacy. The confusion surrounding the tariffs has left many businesses and consumers in limbo. While Trump has touted tariffs as a means to protect American manufacturing and jobs, the reality is that such policies may lead to increased costs for consumers. Bessent acknowledged that shoppers at retailers like Walmart could see higher prices as a result of these tariffs. This admission underscores the delicate balance the administration must strike between protecting domestic industries and maintaining consumer confidence. Recent discussions have also highlighted the administration's commitment to a baseline tariff of 10% on foreign goods, which some analysts fear could become a permanent fixture in U.S. trade policy. This tariff approach has been met with skepticism, particularly as it threatens to raise prices across a broad spectrum of consumer goods. "The White House has no idea what it's doing on tariffs and keeps flip-flopping," criticized Representative Ted Lieu, Democrat, California, illustrating the growing frustration among Democrats regarding the administration's inconsistent trade policies. As the Trump administration navigates these complex economic waters, the future remains uncertain. The ongoing negotiations with key trade partners, including China, will be pivotal in determining both the direction of U.S. trade policy and the broader economic landscape. According to Bessent, upcoming deals could serve as templates for future agreements with other nations. In conclusion, as the Trump administration moves forward with its tax reforms and tariff strategies, the impact of these decisions will be closely monitored by economists and lawmakers alike. The potential for further adjustments looms large, especially as the administration seeks to balance its ambitious trade agenda with the realities of a fluctuating economy. The next few months will be critical in shaping not only the U.S. economic policy but also its position on the global stage. In a significant reshaping of leadership at Cantor Fitzgerald, Howard Lutnick, the firm's longtime chairman and newly appointed U.S. Commerce Secretary, has transferred ownership of the company to trusts established for the benefit of his children. This strategic move not only adheres to federal ethics guidelines but also marks a pivotal transition in the firm's governance as it prepares for the future under his son Brandon Lutnick, who is now positioned as chairman and chief executive. On May 19, 2025, Lutnick announced the divestiture of his ownership stake alongside a substantial $361 million sale of shares in BGC Group and Newmark Group. Specifically, Lutnick will sell $234 million worth of shares in BGC and $127 million in Newmark as confirmed by the respective companies. This transaction allows Lutnick to sidestep immediate tax implications under U.S. regulations that facilitate divestments for government officials, a mechanism designed to prevent conflicts of interest without imposing financial penalties.
Brandon Lutnick, now at the helm, expressed gratitude for the opportunity to continue his father's legacy.
"Kyle and I are honored to continue building on our father's legacy, leading Cantor Fitzgerald alongside the exceptional executive team we have in place today," he stated. This transition consolidates control among the Lutnick siblings, with Kyle serving as executive vice chair, further ensuring the family's influence within Cantor Fitzgerald while reinforcing the company's leadership structure. The leadership changes come as Cantor Fitzgerald also welcomes new minority investors, including 26 North, led by Apollo co-founder Josh Harris and Glenn August, founder of credit manager Oak Hill Advisors. Brandon Lutnick noted that the inclusion of these world-class investors reflects confidence in the firm's management team and growth strategy, indicating a robust outlook for Cantor Fitzgerald as it embarks on this new chapter. Howard Lutnick's move to the Commerce Department has been accompanied by his active involvement in shaping U.S. trade policies, emphasizing his long-standing ties to the Trump administration. His role as a mega-donor to the Trump campaign and his prior consideration for the Treasury Secretary position underscore his significant influence in the intersection of finance and government. The transactions involving his shares in BGC and Newmark reflect a broader trend among high-ranking officials transitioning from private sectors to public service. Similar strategies have been employed in the past. For instance, former Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson divested nearly $500 million in Goldman Sachs shares upon joining the Bush administration, illustrating a common practice aimed at mitigating potential conflicts of interest.
As Cantor Fitzgerald adapts to this new leadership dynamic,
the firm remains well-positioned within the financial services landscape, maintaining significant ownership and control over its affiliated entities. The Lutnick family's strategic decisions will likely play a critical role in guiding Cantor Fitzgerald through evolving market conditions and leveraging new opportunities, particularly in emerging sectors such as digital assets. As the Lutnick family steps into this new era, industry observers will be watching closely to see how these developments influence Cantor Fitzgerald's trajectory and its capacity to innovate and grow in an increasingly competitive environment. The combination of established legacy and fresh leadership may provide the firm with the necessary agility to navigate the complexities of today's financial markets.